even my videos that are like 4 minutes of talking, I want to kill myself. Sorry, no, yeah, but
Hey, what's up? I'm back, sort of. It's been a little while, but yeah. If you're curious of where I've been, it's just way too long of a story with life and everything else, and I'd rather just keep this channel focused on, fun Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. So I'm just gonna ignore it like it never happened, and I just came back out of nowhere like Houdini or some shit. Today, I will be joined by one of my best Yu-Gi-Oh friends, Prime in the Discord. Z's Prime on his channel /Abyssland, or I forgot what title he named his channel by now, but his channel will be in the description below. He is a Gishki Atlantean mastermind. This is something he's been really hyped about since like August or some shit. I don't know, some huge distance ago. And I got into the deck about October-ish. This whole thing was recorded in early November, and then we realized the format went to shit, and we had quite a while to wait. But now it's right around the corner. It's on the, I believe, 9th of February. So, yeah, it's coming up real soon. But this is a complete guide on Gishki Atlanteans, or Atlantean Gishki, if you want to show your goddamn respect to my channel anyway. Gishki is an older deck, so, Gishki Atlanteans, whatever. Has a nice ring to it. Please hit the subscribe. That is the only thing I'm going to ask you for. I don't talk about bells or any of that crap these days. I'm just trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. I am so close, and I know we can do it. So, all my reef mates, I'm calling upon you. Please subscribe if you like water decks, because that's all I cover. Pretty soon I'll be doing my coverage on Marincess and bouncing back and forth between all the decks. I do water decks. That's all I do. Alright, I got Prime here. This is the, I don't want to say Gishki Master. He doesn't like when I boast him up or whatever. But he's been playing Gishki for a long time. How long and when did you start playing Gishki?
Gishki is one of my favorite archetypes ever since I've started playing the game back in 2010. I think they were announced in the RCG, and I was so excited about them. I've been using the archetype technically since 2012, and I always tried to make them work with the Atlantean Mermail stuff, but to no avail.
You were trying.
Yeah.
So I imagine when you saw this new Gishki stuff, all the new support coming out, you probably were like really excited then.
Yeah, I was ecstatic. I think I was jumping around my room, not jumping like, I was so excited. My eyes were going to pop out of
he was being possessed by the Gishki curse. Exactly.
But these cards are insane, actually, especially in today's format.
Yeah, we're gonna go into why they're insane in just a few minutes here. Yeah, I saw a couple of your videos. The first one was like a combo guide, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Those are really good boards. But what really sold me was when I saw your gameplay video of you playing against like, pretty meta standard decks, as well as some knock, but like the way you were able to control, it was incredible, and it was extremely consistent. So I was like, okay, I need to make this deck, copy it, play it, and see what happens, because this is really getting me juiced up in a different way than the Mermail variant does. And I want to give it some, give it the time of day and check it out. And as soon as I started playing it, I was blown away by its consistency, the power, the recovery, everything you want in a deck. This build has. This is what this video is all about. We're going to be showcasing. It's an in-depth video on how well Atlanteans fit with the Gishkis, and just the incredible board building, hand destroying mess that it is. It's incredible. So you can rip 1,000 things. It's so dumb.
Yeah, and even in that video, everything was not optimized because we actually played around with the deck a lot. And yeah, I think the deck is actually in an incredible place, and we have a somewhat figured out extra deck as well, which was a pain.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's great.
I think the first thing we have to mention is the synergy of level 2s with the sprite support we've gotten. It's incredible. The fact that you can always have any level 2 you want. There's so many. There's, what is there, like 5 in this deck? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 level 2s. There's no way you can't abuse the sprite engine. Its synergy is undeniable, which is really nice. Like before, we had to rely on, can you get a swap with a diva, or can you open up infantry plus diva? Did you get that really helpful Aria to get you the diva plus the level 2? It's like, it was just so much you're relying on, and this, the consistency of the hands are absurd. I kept on having these situations arise where I couldn't fucking do a thing with my hand because it was filled with like a Gund, a Teus.
Yeah.
It was just so many mermail monsters that just wouldn't do anything on their own. Like, they couldn't function alone. And as you're going to see in some of these combos and interactions, the Gishkis do. Like, that's huge. They do. You can make an entire board with triple Omni Negate plus Monster Negate with just the Gishkis alone. You're not only relying on, can I get the Diva? Which has been like, let's be real. Can I get the Diva? Used to be, can I get the Neptibus using Diva? Now it's, we really need the Diva. And that's what you relied on. That was your bread and butter. Now there's fallback plans. Anytime you can get consistency, it's gonna feel good. Another thing I want to mention about this build is the fact you can end on so many different end boards, more so than we were able to in the past. Like, we kind of lost a little bit of like the synchros because we lost Hulk. Hulk and Fibrack's not here anymore. You can't quite get the Fishborg stuff going on. But with the abusability, if that's even a word, I don't know if that's a word, but it's a word now.
Yeah.
The fact you can bring back your Diva from the grave, from the deck, instant access using sprites, going straight into things like any kind of synchros you want, and we'll get into those options too, but you're not kind of pigeonholed to like just the swaps going into Toad and hoping you can get 2 Toads and just being a Toad turbo, because obviously those are really strong options to end on, but it's not your only options. Now you have really powerful ritual monsters you can rely on. You can bring out synchros like Baron, easy as hell. But yeah, like the boards are not going to be standard, same, boring end of just the same thing. It's you have options, and I love that about it.
I think the key word of this deck is flexibility. Every hand can end up on a ton of different routes and endboards and even hunt loops. Yeah, I think there are so many interactions with all the cards. With the extra deck cards, you have a billion options. So yeah. Every time I want to make a 2-card combo, I think of 10 2-card combos with
he does
2 specific cards.
Yep, he so can't just pick a couple. There's so many options.
Whenever I want to kind of narrow them down, my brain wants to explode. This has never happened to me with any other deck.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I think I have 55 combos for 2-card combos or less with this deck.
When we were setting up just before this, you're just like, wait, I just thought of something. I was like, oh God, calm down, we're trying to record. But and I think that actually that fits into another point, is flexible combos, meaning if something is interrupted, you're able to keep going and make something different that is still good. A lot of times in the past, you couldn't. You had to stop and be like, well, crap, I'll just make Abyss Lacy and hope I can pop something. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and unpredictability is also very great for mind games with your opponent, because you could technically make your opponent think you rely on a certain card with this deck, and actually make them hand trap that card, but you can use the actual card you want.
Yep.
And yeah, you can play with your opponent's mind so much with this deck. It's fun.
Crazy. They're like, Diva. Shit, I'm gonna shut that shit down real quick. And then you bring out like a ritual monster, and then you go straight into an Abyss Keeper. Keeper brings out Grim, and you go ham anyway. It's
anything.
Fuck, I'm excited.
There's so many options. Yeah.
Yeah. Another issue was, if you're somebody out there that has always found Mooling Glacia really hard to bring to the board because you're like over or under on your water count. This deck is absurdly consistent with bringing out Mooling Glacia if you want one. Simply for the fact that most of your like Gishki cards that you have just send themselves to the grave. That's it. They just drop themselves in the grave. That's one more. You know, it's crazy. I'm blown away by the consistency of the Mooling Glacia, and I'm sure you've noticed that too.
Yeah, of course. The water count is so flexible in this deck.
And also, the same thing can be said for Hashima. Like, that was the biggest challenge when we lost Halka-Fibrax, was getting that extra monster level 1 on the board. You know, Nepty, Fishboard going into that. You don't have to now. Now, level 2s spam the board like crazy. Level 4s find themselves to the grave super easy. Hashima is not a problem. And Mooling Glacia is not a problem. And another one, fucking getting totally awesome. They're incredibly easy to get to the board. They're stupid easy. You can hear the excitement in my voice. I'm sure that's very apparent at this point, but it's just because those are things that I love and appreciate in the deck we had, and it felt like it was a very big challenge, and with this, it's not.
What I really like about this deck is also the fact that you have another level 4 in the form of Shadow, which you can actually get to using your Dragoons. And this is very helpful for the Hashima play, because even if you don't have the Dragoons, you can have the Shadow Engraven one in hand and even then make your Bahamut Shark and get your Totally Awesome.
Yeah.
Which wasn't an option before at all.
Yeah, a really important part about that is the fact that nowadays getting an Abyss Dweller on board is very, very important depending on your matchup, but obviously the main one is the elephant in the room is the tier elements, so like being able to just do that even without Dragoons in Neptibus, so good. It's so good and it's so consistent. And as you mentioned before, there are so many 1 and 2 card combos, and we're going to be showing you guys, now get this, 5 fucking combos, 5 of them. I've never done this many combos. I usually stick to 1, maybe 2. But yeah, you're getting 5 today. So we're gonna truly showcase the power and consistency of the Gishki Atlantean build. And if you have a certain style, you can showcase it with this deck. You can switch shit out, whatever it is. This deck has an incredible going second strategy as well, which we can go into later on. This deck right here, it removes cards from your opponent's hand more than we're used to. The Gishkis were known for doing hand loops before, really before Mermails was, you know what I mean? Now that we're in the game of ripping, the fact we're combining these two decks together, our opponents will cry, generally speaking. They're just going to be upset, they're going to find it not fair, and you get to have a shit-eating grin on your face.
Yeah, and they are, as you said, really notorious of a lot of degenerate strategies. Just because of the base of all those degenerate strategies is the fact that most of their effects are not once per turn.
That sounds very familiar for Mermail Atlanteans. Their shit's not once per turn.
Yeah.
And you're going to find that through the boss monsters, as well as the actual monsters themselves can just be abused over and over again.
Exactly, yeah. And it is insane, especially in this day and time.
Usually they'll say something like, can only be used this once per turn, and the effect of the namesake can only be used once per turn, this whole turn, or some shit like that. They just repeat themselves because they're basically like, don't even try is what they're trying to say. But the new support is surprisingly abusable still. And with the pairing of the Atlanteans with the Gishkis, oh my god, busted. It also, it takes advantage of a mechanic that is incredibly strong in today's format.
Yeah, this whole archetype really likes bouncing, even cards from the field to the deck, from the hand to the deck, anywhere. So people are going to be really pissed when they face this.
It's just a very powerful mechanic that is just super good nowadays. The inboards have such diverse interactions as well. You have ways to do more than just like Omni Negate. We have specifically Spell Negate, Monster Effect Negates, we have Bouncing. It's just so many ways to just interact other than just how many toads can you use.
which I love that. That's one of my favorite parts, the fact you can go into synchros if you want to do that. It just allows for it. The deck allows you to go into a diverse game plan, and it's not fun having the same board. I think Swordsel players know what I'm talking about. It's just like so fucking boring. Tri-Brigade specifically, just like, let me guess, what are we going into now? You don't have to follow that. This is a combo deck, and this combo deck is even crazier than what we're used to, so...
Apart from the Omni Negates and Monster Negates, we also have some forms of Floodgates from the extra deck, such as Dweller and Herald of Arclight.
Obviously, we flood the board with level 2s, so if you have a Diva plus level 2, boom. If you have an Neptibus and you have a way to get your Minstrel to the field, from the grave, boom, there you go. And there's so many ways to get Minstrel back. There's so many ways to get anything you fucking want back, and that's because of a broken-ass support card that just came out, and we're going to get to that in a second.
Another great thing about this deck is the fact that, especially compared to the Mermail Atlantean version of the deck, there are so many cards that actually can serve as hand trap baits. The two main monsters of the deck, the Gishki Vision and Gishki Shadow, pitch themselves from our hand, and you get to add a card from your deck to your hand, which is a great Ash Blossom target. Yeah, of course. And a lot of people think that if you can't add your ritual spell card, especially in a ritual archetype, it would be worth negating that. So you also Aqua Mirror Focalization, which lets you add the Gishki Monster from your deck to your hand, and it is not once per turn as well, which is bonkers as well. There are so many hand trap baits, so many. And the thing is, you can use them to clear your path for the Dipsy Diva, which is your main card, as always.
Or the Grim.
Or the Grim, of course. Yeah, Grim is insane as well. For example, after your game 1, after you played with your opponent's mind and you also kind of conditioned them to the fact that they have to negate your Diva, you can also clear your path actually differently in your second game, making them think that your Diva is your target, your main target for your play, and actually use your other cards in your hand to make an insane play. We are going to showcase maybe some of that as well later.
Oh, yeah, it's so good. And I will restate the fact that you said earlier, the fact that it doesn't have to go to grave. Half these cards don't have to go to grave. They just have to leave your hand as cost. That's it. So if they have like a floodgate says it can banish everything, you still get the search.
Yeah, exactly. They're insane. Yeah, even this shifter or Macrocosmos or Diffuser won't negate their activation. You get the effect either way.
The last thing I want to point out before we go into the card-by-card introductions and all that jazz is the fact that this deck has like endless resources. You can start your hand with 5, put a full board up, and end with 4 or 6. It's just like, what? I'm not used to that. Usually as a Mermail, you're just literally flooding, pun intended, your whole field with just stuff and making whatever you can, and then your hand has like nothing left. But you're gonna see these 2-card, 1-card combos. You have such a good board, and you didn't even touch the rest of your hand.
This is an insane deck, especially in terms of card advantage.
All right, now that the circle jerk is over, I'm gonna leave that one in. Let's get to the card-by-card discussion. Okay, so these are the core, if you will, of the Gishkis. There are, of course, about, what would you say, like 150 more Gishkis? They have an absurd amount of cards available if you want to spice in, some other techs if you want to. There's actually quite a few good shouts.
So the two primary pieces of the deck are Gishki Vision and Gishki Shadow. They are technically the exact same monster, but they have one small tweak in their effects. Gishki Vision says that you can discard it, so you don't have to send it to the graveyard to activate its effect. And if you do discard it, you can add one Gishki Ritual monster from your deck to your hand. Gishki Shadow does the exact same thing, but it gets you a ritual spell card, which we'll see later. The other thing these two cards have in common is that they actually count as the entire tribute for the summon of a water ritual monster.
Which is insane.
Which is obviously insane.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, the two ritual monsters Gishki Vision can bring us, the ones we actually use in the deck, are Gishki Nereimanas. What the fuck? It's the first time I'm saying it like that. I don't know.
You just invented a new way to say it. I want to leave that part in. That's fucking funny. Nereimanas. Exactly. Okay,
So,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Gishki Nereimanas, which is the most insane water support we could ever wish for. So, this card says that when it is ritual summoned, you can target any water monster from your graveyard, and you can special summon it. This means you can summon any Gishki card, of course, any Atlantean card, any water synchro, for example, Dragite, Changing, or whatever, any XYZ monster you have in the grave, even totally awesome. A full toad, of course, not the Bahamut one.
Yeah, not the half-ass toad.
Yeah, exactly. And this is an insane effect. You can revive any water monster. So, after that, it also has some complementary effects. First of all, the reviving effect, we have to mention that it is not a once per turn effect.
Nope.
Which is even more insane.
It's busted. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. Another effect this card has that is often overlooked is the fact that it cannot be destroyed by a battle with a monster special summoned from the extra deck. So, if your opponent happens to summon a monster from the extra deck that has a 3k body, you can of course crash into it, but Nereimanas will not die and the opponent monster will.
Lol.
So that is a very great bonus effect for an already incredible card. So, and after that effect comes
but wait,
another
there's more.
insane effect. Yeah, it says that once per turn, if an opponent's monster activates a monster effect, you can, obviously this is a quick effect, you can return a Gishki ritual monster, including itself, from the field to the hand, and if you do, you negate the activation. But that's not it. If you do negate the activation, you can shuffle the card into the deck, which obviously is bonkers, especially with all these Ishizus, Tears, and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Cards. Yeah, it's incredibly strong. It's a very strong effect, and yeah, I mean, there's already like Gishki sprites that have been having very large amounts of success because of that.
The next ritual monster we run in the deck is Gishki Atlantean, a card that was even on the ban list for quite a long time. I think about 6-7 years. And it was limited because of another degenerate strategy, as always with this deck. So, this card reads that when it is ritual summoned, you can look at up to 2 random cards in your opponent's hand, and then shuffle one of them into the deck. This effect is obviously insane, especially if you can bring this card after or before a Mulling Glacier.
Yep.
Your opponent will probably want to burn their deck and
their locals and their mom and everything else. Exactly.
Exactly. And this card can also actually serve as a great extender.
The fact that it's a level 6, you can go into Dragite with just bringing back a Diva to the field.
For example, you have in your hand Photo Mirror, Gastraken, Diva, and Green. If you summon Diva and she gets negated, you could actually use Photo Mirror to extend with Gastraken and then link them into Abyss Keeper and make Green, for example.
Yeah, so there's plenty of ways to abuse it. Plus the fact that I must remind everybody, these cards, the two he just mentioned, both rituals, they're not a hard once per turn. If you can summon them again, you can do it all again, which is why this card was limited for so long. And now we get to abuse it. So that's funny.
Now we have Gishki Shadow. As we already discussed, he has the exact same effect as Gishki Vision, but he fetches you your ritual spells instead of your ritual monsters. The cool part of this card comes with the fact that he's a sea serpent and a level 4-1 at that. Yeah,
he's level 4.
And that may come in handy with a Hashima plays. And
it does. I do it every game.
Yeah, same here. And even if you don't have the Atlanteans, you can easily set up a Gishki Shadow in the grave and one in the hand to make an Ahashima play or something.
Yeah.
And once again, Shadow and Vision are not once per turn, which
Busted.
is insane. But yeah, let's see what he can search for us. Number 1, we have the Gishki Aqua Mirror. This card is actually my favorite ritual spell ever created.
Damn.
And it has a great art. And this card is responsible for all the shenanigans the Gishki were doing back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
This card states that you can summon any Gishki ritual monster using it, but you'll have to tribute monsters from your hand and or field that equal exactly the level of the said ritual. Standard ritual stuff, but the second effect of this card, which makes it insane, states the following. If this card is in the grave, along with another ritual monster, you can shuffle Aqua Mirror into the deck as a cost 2, I believe, and then you can add that ritual monster to your hand.
Yeah, it's busted. That's incredible.
And once again, this isn't once per turn, so that's how a lot of the loops of this deck actually happened.
Yeah, it's a very abusable mechanic, and it lets this deck just keep on spitting out rituals. It's really, really nice. This is a very unique ritual deck, and like I never paid it any mind because I was just like, rituals. You need a spell card to summon a monster. That's dumb. But this one is just like, it goes beyond, and like the costs are so cheap. I don't know. I'm just happy.
Plus, this card can also help with graveyard manipulation for mulling. It can help with grind game comebacks, and it also has some slight synergy with the minstrel, sending a ritual to the grave and getting it back, and also recycling your ritual spell, and many, many more.
So overall, this is a probably one of the strongest ritual cards I think that's ever been made. So nice.
Yeah. The second card Shadow can search for us is Gishki Photo Mirror. This card is a bit sad to use, but it's also super unique and extremely useful. And this card states that you can use it to special summon any Gishki ritual monster, just like Aqua Mirror, but you have to pay life points instead of tributing monsters, and you have to pay 500 times the level of your ritual.
Remember, the only life point that matters is the last one. Except in game 3. Do not use this on game 3. Just help yourself.
Yeah, maybe side it out.
Yeah.
This means Neri Manas will cost you 5k.
Sorry, it just sounds insane, but it's not really that bad. The boards you can make way outweigh the cost. Trust me, it's stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had a lot of comments in my other video that were like, oh my god, the 5k don't justify 3 Omni negates and 2 monster negates and the Moodling Reef.
Wait, first of all, those people are fucking stupid. You know why? Because that equals like 8 cards. 6 cards.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what? People are fucking dumb. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
That doesn't outweigh winning the game, okay, Prime?
Yeah, like, but
right.
So other than the insane FTK looking endboards this card can help you achieve, this card also provides some great extension for the deck, which the Mermail version kind of lacks.
Just for the Neri Manas alone, having this card as a backup plan when you don't have the resources to go ham, it's really nice. I love this card. This actually comes in clutch a lot.
The next card Gishki Shadow can search for us is the new addition to the Gishki Archetype, which is Gishki Ice Mirror, and it is actually an insane removal option we have, which also helps the deck tremendously going second. You can actually do 2 things with this card. We've got options right here. And we generally don't have a lot with water decks, so...
It's true. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, as the others, this card can ritual summon any Gishki ritual monster. We can either ritual summon by tributing monsters from our hand or field that equal the ritual monster's level, just like Aqua Mirror, or we can tribute one face-up monster our opponent controls.
Wait.
Period.
Wait, hold
which
on.
means
Run that by me one more time. Say that again.
yeah. You can tribute one face-up monster your opponent controls. And
Busted.
that means, yeah, and it doesn't have to equal the level of the ritual.
Nope.
So it can be a token, a link, an XYZ, or anything for that matter.
It's like anything in their monster zone, pretty much. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. That alone is just like, I like that. That kind of, if you want to play going second, like you just stack your deck with this shit, and oh man, it's basically a card kaiju. Well, yeah, they can negate it, but still, like that's crazy.
They can negate it, but at least it has another good thing: the fact that it doesn't target.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, it's non-targeting removal as a tribute. So it's not destroying, it's not sending, it's tributing. That's incredible. I love this card.
But for all these awesome effects, you have to actually pay life points equal to the attack of the ritual monster you're about to summon.
Oof.
So we are getting a life point hits from everywhere, but it's worth it. So this card also has a second effect, which states that if this card is in your grave, you can target any Gishki monster, not a ritual, any Gishki monster from your grave, and place it on the top of your deck. And if you do, you can put Ice Mirror to the bottom of the deck.
Nice.
Especially the fact that it puts it in the top of the deck is a bit weird, but you'll see why that can be handy soon.
So it's a nice little recycling ability.
Also, of course, as it's typical with Gishkis so far, all of the above is not once per turn.
Ah, shit, the synergy's incredible. Oh, I love old decks. So good. And I love that this is a brand new OCG release. It's 2022 and it's not once per turn. How fucking about it?
It's faithful to the archetype, thankfully.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so now to Gishki Green. He's our new swordfish, actually tatted swordfish looking guy. And this card, just like Shadow and Vision, can count as the entire tribute for the ritual summon of our rituals.
Oh, that's so nice.
Which obviously is great, but its second effect is the reason we really like this card, and he states the following. When he is normal or special summoned, you can special summon any Gishki monster from your deck, with the only downside being that during this turn you can only attack with ritual monsters. Yeah,
usually if you're going to be using this, it's really nice using it going first, but when I'm hesitant, I'm not going to lie, I've been hesitating when I'm going second with this card, playing it just for that reason alone, but the advantages are just too good. I can't say anything too negative about it, but you might have 2 Nary Manus on the board. That's 6,000 damage right there, so I'm not complaining. But it is, I would say it is a downside to it though.
Yeah, and this also is a hard once per turn, the only one we've mentioned.
Damn, so Grim, you failed us, dog.
So far from the Gishkis we showcased, you're maybe thinking that, okay, this could get me Shadow or Vision. I could maybe go into some Sprite plays, but other than that, what's the point? And well, for that, you'll have to read the next card, which is probably the best card of the archetype.
It's the Dragoons. Let me state that right away. This is the Dragoons of the Gishki archetype. You are going to abuse the ever-living shit out of this card. I summon this thing 4 or 5 times a combo. It's stupid.
So many classes with this card. Yeah. Gishki Abyss, first of all, he's also a level 2. And he states that when this card is summoned, which means in any way, even normal, special,
on
or
accident,
even
whatever,
summon, yeah, he can add 1 Gishki monster with 1,000 or less defense from the deck, except Abyss. And this is not a once per turn effect.
Right. And to be fair, that one effect covers like most of the Gishki archetype, all the other 20 irrelevant cards, in my opinion. But it covers some of the most important ones. A Grim, if you want another one of those, Shadow, as well as Vision, the main primary cards that we play over and over and over again. So Yeah, this card is absolutely the nuts when it comes to searching.
Yeah, it technically gets you access to every single card we mentioned so far. Because if you want a ritual monsters, you get vision to search them, or if you want a ritual spell, you get a shadow to search them.
Yeah, it's incredible.
This card can get its effect off when summoned off of Grim, of course. Nere Manas can summon it from the grave. Anemone, Sprite Elf can activate its effect. Abyss Keeper can summon it from the hand. Hell, even Zealantis can
Zealantis, our boy. Insane.
If you have it on the field, you can banish it and bring it back and get another blast. It's insane.
Stupid, man. This card is like, it's just him and Dragoons just chilling somewhere, hanging out as the goats.
Now we have Aqua Mirror Focalization. What does every archetype wish they had? And in archetype Rota, that is not once per turn, would be my guess.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I would have loved to have a Mermail or Atlantean Rhoda. Just, you need that Teus? By all means, here you go. Put the card. Boom, search it. Look at this art. This art is absolutely incredible. And it's almost like a killer whale narwhal, which I gotta tell him, Prime. I'm sorry, man. I gotta tell him. Prime just learned that narwhals were a creature. Fuck.
But I have never seen one.
Yeah, I haven't either. They're very elusive and they only live in one part of the Atlantic Ocean, I think. Oh, man, but this is fucking funny, man. I don't know. You were just like, what the hell is this? But anyway, so yeah, look at this art. This art is insane. Who's the other guy other than, Shamu right there? Who's the other one?
So on the lower right, I think this is Evil Swarm Ouroboros. Yeah, and you can see on the upper right Constellar Razalhog. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Mm-hmm. And you can, if you zoom really, really, really closely, you can also see Gishki Atlanteans below the Constellar card.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and also another fun fact, as you can see, Evil Swarm Ouroboros is sealed by some magic spell, and the magic spell actually showcases the ice barrier mirror.
So this art is just insane. The lore is incredible. I went and I fucking never knew about this because I was playing Mermail Atlanteans at the time. I wasn't paying attention to any Gishki stuff because they were a little bit older. I don't know. This is just a deck with the lore is insane with this deck. I love this lore so much. It's really cool. Look into it. It's really nice.
Yeah, every Gishki card has insane artwork and lore. They are great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this card can actually add you any Gishki monster from your deck to your hand, but it also has a second effect that states the following. During the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard and you control a water ritual monster, you can banish this card as a cost, and then you can set one Aqua Mirror spell or trap from your deck or grave, except Focalization, of course. Which means this can be another way to recycle your Gishki Aqua Mirror from the grave, or search it from the deck for your next turn. But it can also search other Aqua Mirror cards. There are several useless ones, but one other option that can really come in handy is Aqua Mirror Illusion. Yeah, so Aqua Mirror Illusion, now this is a weird one. It is a trap, which can be a bit of a brick, but it has some nice synergy with Nere Manas. This card states that when it is activated, you can special summon one Gishki ritual monster from your hand. It cannot attack, and it is returned to your hand during the end phase. Of course, it can act as a very slow extender, but that's not the reason we would possibly run it. The thing is that if you have Nere Manas on the field, you end your turn while having Focalization to your grave, you can set this card, and during your next turn, you technically have 2 monster effect negates instead of 1, because Nere Manas will negate an effect, bounce itself, and then you can bring him back with Illusion for a second negate.
Yeah, that's crazy. You got Nere Manas flying around like a fucking ping pong ball, just bouncing back and forth. It's kind of funny.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so Zilgigas is a pretty straightforward card. You can pay 1000 life points and you draw a card. If that was a Gishki monster, you have to shuffle a card from the field into the deck. And of course that doesn't target one. And it also comes in handy with the divination effect of Gishki Ice Mirror, the new ritual spell, because it can set the top card of your deck up.
Yeah, so it has like 100% fail safe. You're setting up the top of the deck so that the effect goes off to non-targeting removal. That's so good. I love that. The fact that it shuffles back into the deck is so strong. Instead of having it to where it's destroying or banishing or whatever, just sending it back, no effects go off. I love it. It's so good. The Gustav Max, where does that tie in?
Gustav Max is actually very useful because an easy play you could do would be use Aqua Mirror to special summon Nere Manas by tributing Zilgigas from the field, and then Nere Manas can bring back said Zilgigas, so you have 2 level 10s on the field. So if you actually manage to attack with both of them, that's 6,200 life points. So if you overlay them during the main phase 2, that's a no decay. Technically, there also draw another card to for Zilgigas.
One thing to keep in mind is every time you see us use the Photo Mirror card, if you have any of the Gishki monsters that can be used as a full sacrifice, you can just get the Aqua Mirror instead. So I know we keep dropping 5,000 on Neri Manus, but that's just because we're showcasing 2 card combos. You're going to have 3 or 4 other cards in your hand, so don't worry. Alright, combo number 1 is just Diva. 1 card Diva is back stronger than ever with this new Gishki Atlantean playstyle, scheme, strategy, whatever you want to call it. Alright, you're going to start off by, of course, normal summon the Diva. And you're going to bring out your Neptibus. Alright, you're going to go ahead and activate your Neptibus' effect, sending a Dragoons, and adding a Dragoons. Alright, Dragoons is going to go ahead and trigger in the grave, and that's going to let you search out any Sea Serpent. We're going to go with the Shadow here. Doesn't really matter. You can get Vision or Shadow. Doesn't really matter. Alright, in this case right here, now we're going to go and dip into the Discord text and bring out a Cyber Geef special. We're going to go into our extra deck here and get out the Goyo Defender. Alright. The Defender allows us to basically special summon another copy of itself. Alright, and that has 2 of the same level here, so we're going to go ahead and be able to use both of those to make a Hashima. A Hashima instant is going to trigger, and it's going to let us bring the Dragoons from our hand and Dragoons from the grave. The old spesh. You're going to go ahead and, in this case, you have your choice here. You can, depends on what your matchup is, but we're going to go with Bahamut Shark here because you need that extra body to link off in this combo. So you're going to go ahead and activate your Bahamut Shark, detaching a Dragoons, bringing out your Totally Awesome in the middle here. Make sure it's in the middle. And then your Dragoon Search is going to trigger, and it's going to let us add another Gishki here, or any Sea Serpent, but in this case, Gishki Vision, the second counterpart. You're going to go ahead and use both of these effects here. I'm going to activate the Shadow there first. Get your Photo Mirror with this one, because we don't have another Gishki monster. Now we're going to activate Vision and get a Neri Manus to our hand. Or Neri Manus, if you want to sound proper and beautiful. Alright, now you're going to go ahead and instantly use your Photo Mirror here. You're going to take a big old hit to your life points. 5,000. Now, you don't want to do this combo if you're on the 3rd game, obvious reasons. But yeah, you're going to go ahead and bring out your Neri Menace in the far right here. That effect of being summoned is going to let you activate its effect. And we're going to go ahead and look for any water monster in our graveyard and summon it. You're going to go for the level 2 Diva in this case here. Bring it right below your Ahashima. Okay, now you're going to go ahead and take the Ahashima and the Diva, and we're going to make a gigantic sprite. Boom. And you're going to put it right down here. Don't put it in your extra monster zone. We need that shit. So you're going to put it down below. Alright, now you're going to go ahead and activate it right away. locking you into level 2s, which is fine. We're going to go ahead and detach the Diva, and we're going to look in our deck for a level 2 monster, and we're going to go ahead and grab a Swap Frog. Alright, Swap's effect is going to let us dump another Swap from our deck to the grave. Alright, now you're going to go ahead and link off, if I can click this shit, link off into Elf using your Bahamut as well as your Gigantic. And put it on the right side here. It's important that you put it over Nary Menace as well as the gimped version of Totally Awesome, because we're going to be using the full Toad first. So activate Elf's effect, bringing the Graveyard Swap to the field. And then you don't need that effect. Now you're going to go here into the extra deck, and we're going to go ahead and make a full Toad with that. Alright, in this case, you end up with 1, 2, 3 Omni Negates, as well as a Monster Negate that can't be killed by monsters from the extra deck. So that's something very important to pay attention to. And that's just from a Diva. One Diva.
So, for this combo we have Tipsy Diva and Gishki Grim. We are going to normal summon our Diva. Her effect will activate. We will bring Neptybis on our side of the field. Neptybis effect sends Dragoons and adds Dragoons. And Dragoons can bring us our Mooling Glacier. Then, since we have a fish in our hand, that being Gishki Grim, we are going to link into Abyss Keeper. Abyss Keeper can special summon our Grim. Grim can special summon Gishki Abyss from our deck. Abyss then can search our Shadow. Now we have 2 level 2s for a Hashima. Hashima's effect activates, so we're going to special summon Dragoons and Dragoons from our grave and our hand to make Bahamut Shark. Then we're going to detach a Dragoons for our Totally Awesome. The Dragoons from grave adds a vision. Now, since we have 5 waters in grave, Mooling Glacier can special summon itself right here. Discard 2 from our opponent's hand. And now we are going to make Gigantic Sprite using these 2. We can discard Shadow to get our Photo Mirror. Now we can discard Vision to get our Nereymanas. Photo Mirror will activate, special summon our Nereymanas. Gigantic Sprite will detach a material to special summon our Swap Frog from our deck. Then Swap will send a Swap Frog from the deck to the grave, and we are going to make Elf using Bahamut and Gigantic to bring back our second swap. And now we are going to make our second Toad. So yeah, that's great.
Alright, here is a technically 2-card combo that I made. It's a Diva, a Grim, plus any water. I chose Kraken because it's like the least attached to anything else in the combo or in the deck, really. But yeah, you can just use any water monster plus a Grim and a Diva. And watch this insane board I make. So you're going to start off by normal summoning your Diva, activating the effect, bringing out your Neptybis as always. Alright, Neptybis can go ahead and activate his effect, sending goons, adding goons. Alright, goon search from grave. It's going to let us get a Mooling Glacier right away. Alright. So right here, we're going to go ahead and go into Abyss Keeper here, and the reason we're going into this is because we have a Grim in our hand, which is a fish. It's going to let us special summon the Grim to the field. Grim is going to go ahead and activate, and it's going to bring out an Abyss. Alright, Abyss is going to go ahead and trigger, and we're going to go ahead and get a Vision here. You can pretty much get anything, either one of the two. But yeah, so right now we have 3 engrave. Alright, so now we're going to go straight away shotgunning the Ahashima off the 2 level 2s. That's going to let us bring out the Dragoons in hand, Dragoons engrave. Alright, and I made this combo from the deepest depths of my loins, so I hope you enjoyed this. Alright, so right here we need the extra body, so of course Bahamut Shark. Just throw them over here on the left. Doesn't really matter. We're going to activate Bahamut, sending Dragoons, getting the shit Toad, and go ahead and put it anywhere. Doesn't really matter. Dragoon's going to go ahead and activate, and off this search, you're going to get a Megalo. Alright. So from here, we have 5 waters engrave. So you're going to go ahead and use your Moulin Glacia. Stripping 2 cards. Beautiful. Alright, now you're going to go ahead and link off your Bahamut Shark and your Shit Toad. And you're going to go into Abyss Glacia, the old classic. Alright, and off of the Send of Totally Awesome, I should say, you're going to go ahead and get a Dragoon back from the grave to the hand. Alright, now right here, this is the moment where you're going to go ahead and use your Megalo, and you're going to send the random water, the Gus Kraken in this case, plus a Dragoons that we return back to the hand, and put them right here next to Abyss Glacia. Position means something in this case. Alright, chain 1, Goons, chain 2 is going to be your Megalo, getting the old classic Mizuchi. You can still play this deck, this build, with a Mizuchi if you want to. It's amazing. Alright, and off of the Dragoon search, we're going to go ahead and get the counterpart Shadow here to our Vision. Alright, we're going to go ahead and make a gigantic Sprite. Go ahead and put them on the top section here, because we need to make a little bit of space. Alright, don't use the effect. We're now going to go and get the 2 parts from the effects of our Gishkis. So, Nary Menace with the Vision, and then Photo Mirror with the Shadow. There you go. Alright, now you're going to go ahead, straight away, activate your Photo Mirror, summoning your Vision, or Nary Menace. Sorry, there's a lot of new names to get used to, but Nary Menace and the far left. Alright, and off that effect, it's going to let you summon any water monster once again. We're going to go for the Diva here. Slap that Yeech on the table. Now you're going to go ahead with the Moulin Glacia and the Diva, and we're going to make a Baronne de Fleur. God damn it. Nice. Beautiful. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and fire off the gigantic Sprite. Nope, we're not gonna negate our own effect here. Sending a Keeper, because I like all water in my grave. And then we're gonna get a Swap Frog here. Alright, Swap's effect. Of course, dumping the second swap in our deck to the grave. And then from here, you're gonna go ahead and take your Gigantic and your Megalo. And we're gonna go ahead and make Sprite Elf. Elf effect. Bringing the second swap to the field. Alright, nope. And now we're going to go overlay into a full Totally Awesome next to our Nary Menace. And then you're going to equip your Mizuchi straight to your Abyss Glacia. Now look at that shit, man! It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. This one is for the players that just don't want to get rid of the Mizuchi. Mizuchi's just a super broken card. So yeah, you can still keep these cards. You don't have to deviate too much. It's just we're not running the other Mermail cards pretty much. But how about that shit?
For this combo you're going to normal summon Gishki Green, use its effect to special summon a Gishki Abyss, of course. Abyss effect grabs you either Shadow or Vision. You're then going to make Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf's effect to special summon Abyss again. Use Abyss effect to grab yourself Vision. Then discard Vision and Shadow to get Neri Manas and Photo Mirror. You now activate the Photo Mirror, paying 5000 to special summon your Neri Manas. Neri Manas effect special summons a level 2 from your grave, either Vision or Grim. You're then going to make a Gigantic Sprite, use Gigantic's effect, detaching one to special summon another Abyss from your deck to get another search. And you can get whatever for the follow-up turn. And then you're going to use Gigantic and your Abyss to make an IP. So during your opponent's turn, when they activate an effect or something, or they do something, you can activate Sprite Elf's effect to special summon a green from your grave. And Grim's effect will grab you a Gishki from the deck. It can be Abyss if you run 3, or Vision or Shadow or whatever. And now you have the ability to activate Masqueraina's effect to link your Grim, the monster Grim brought on the field, Masqueraina, and an opponent's monster for Underworld Goddess, or you could even make Apollousa, or yeah.
So, for this combo, we are going to obviously normal summon our Gishki Green. We are going to special summon Gishki Abyss from our deck, getting us our first search from Abyss. Abyss will get us either Vision or Shadow. We are then going to make Abyss Keeper using a Grim and Abyss, and since we have Abyss in our hand and it is a fish, Abyss Keeper will let us special summon Abyss from our hand, getting us another search, our second search with Abyss for this turn, and we are going to either get Vision or Shadow depending on where we got the first time, and then we are going to discard Shadow for Photo Mirror and Vision for Neri Manas. Then we are going to use our Photo Mirror, pay our 5k for Neri Manas, and use Neri Manas' effect to special summon another copy of Abyss from our grave, which will grant us a third search for this turn. Now, since we have 2 level 2s, we can go for a Hashima, but because we have Shadow in the grave, and if we get a Shadow in our hand, we have 2 level 4s for Bahamut. So we are going to make a Hashima and special summon both of our Shadows, one from hand and one from grave, to make Bahamut Shark. Then detach a Shadow to special summon Toad in one of the remaining zones. Then we are going to make a Gigantic with Hashima and Abyss Keeper. A Gigantic Sprite will special summon Swap Frog by detaching a material. Swap Frog will send Swap Frog from the deck. And then we are going to make Sprite Elf using Bahamut Shark and Gigantic Sprite. Elf will special summon our second Toad from the grave.
And now we get another Toad, both protected by Sprite Elf.
Alright, welcome to the deck list section of the video. There are 4 different builds I'm going to present to you. I have a quote-unquote highly competitive build. I have a all gas no brakes build. I have a going second beatdown build. And one straight from my loins to your heart. It is a more Mermail style, but it's still Gishki Atlanteans. You'll see what I'm talking about. You could take these builds and use them as like a base to build further or whatever. Alright, so the first list I have for you is a competitive build. It just has a little bit more interaction on your opponent's turn. This is one that I would basically be taking to my locals. A lot of these builds are going to have just 2 Neptybus because it's not really like the heart and soul of the deck. You don't need it as much, but you also don't want to have it milled by your opponent. So you need 2 of them. It's nice to have it, but definitely Diva or Grim is going to be your go-tos to start things off. So yeah, same thing with the infantry, just 2. It's going to be a theme. You're going to kind of see that here. No Gust Kraken in this one. Gust Kraken is really nice to strip cards. But we have other ways to be removing cards from our opponent's hand, such as, you know, Mooling Glacia, as well as the triple tactics. So, but yeah, that's kind of the build, just a little bit more tight. We got 1 of each of the mirrors, and that's because obviously you're going to use the ice mirror if you're going second. Going first, if you have no resources to be able to sacrifice, that's when you'd use Photo Mirror. Otherwise, you would just use Aqua Mirror if you have everything else. So yeah, 1 of each covers it. Every situation you'll have a mirror that will work. The Herald of the Arclight is something that I suggested just because of the format, and it turned out to be better than I thought. Right off the bat, it gives you a way to kind of floodgate your opponent into banishing rather than sending to the graveyard. That's really good against tiers. But on top of that, it's also an Omni-Negate that you can just use and get rid of. It's super easy to make with, you know, 2 level 2s, 1 being Diva, and then 1 of your many other level 2s. Also, you could just use a Minstrel and a Neptybus. That's another way to get to it super easy. The third effect is something that's so good for this deck. I never read it, and it's so perfect. I added it just because of the first 2 effects. This third one's amazing. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 ritual monster or ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. Like, it's apparently they use it a lot in Necros and stuff like that. So it's a super good pickup, especially for this deck here. And as for everything else, you saw it all in the combos. So that's it for the more competitive build. Let's make our way to the next list. This next build is a Prime Special. It is an all gas, no brakes, balls to the wall, going ham deck. It's really, really nice. There's a lot of similarities to the more competitive one, but this one focuses on being able to endure interruption and just keep on going. But right away, you have another change here. You have triple shadow. You end up just needing shadow more often, so it's just another way to have another card that you can send to the grave, you know, go into a Hashima play, and stuff like that. So that's why that's there. Right away, you see the carrot here, and the reason for that is because sometimes you don't have a spell or trap negate, and being able to just use your gigantic sprite to add just another way to interrupt your opponent, it's kind of nice. Plus it's level 2, so if you have an Abyss just on the field, Carrot can just summon themselves, and then you go straight into an Ahashima play right there. So yeah, it has a lot of utility. It's good interruption. But yeah, that's a Prime Special. I've played it too. I've never had a complaint about it. It's really, really nice. But yeah, that's why that's there. You'll see Salvage down here. Salvage is an incredible tool for the deck. You can use the Minstrel, sending any of the Gishkis to the grave, and then hit the Salvage and get both those resources back. That's incredible. Like, the utility behind that, you can use Grim, summoning out the Abyss. You can add Shadow off the Abyss, link them off, and you can just add it right back to your hand and use those materials over and over again because this deck is not once per turn. There are many plays you can do with the Aqua Mirror. That's why there's 2 of them in here. We're going to be showing you plenty of combos, you know, in the future here. Prime's always making them. I've been working on quite a lot of them too. This build is literally meant to just keep going non-stop, and it does a really good job at doing it. This is the deck that I learned on.
Man, I would recommend you start on this before you play any other variant. But anyway, on to the next build. Alright, this third build here is all about going second. If you're somebody who just has fallen in love with wrecking boards and making your opponent become a salty bitch. Shoutouts to you, Kenny. In the Discord, his name's Big Balls Deep. He's our resident going second Mermail Atlantean. He's just having fun wrecking face and constantly winning locals and everything else. So good on you, champ. But yeah, this build right here was made by Prime for Kenny. And yeah, a lot of similarities to other builds here. You'll see the 2 Nary Menace, but then you'll see Zeal Gigas featured in this one, because as you saw, the going second strategy, Zeal Gigas is like really nice. You'll notice we're not running photo mirror here. We have 2 of the ice mirrors, and these are constantly going to come up, making your opponents really, really salty. Plus the 3 super polys. it's just, oh my god, it's delicious. You're going to be using a lot of your opponent's resources rather than your own, so yeah, that's really nice. And somehow I forgot to mention the triple tactics in the first build, but yeah, these are really good to snipe cards out of your opponent's hand, take control of your opponent's monsters, or just draw more and more gas. So if you're going to take over monsters, or you're going to be using them as tributes, so it's just funny all the way around. In the extra deck here, you see the Garura and the Mud Dragon, obvious reasons, and the Gustav Max to finish it off. Very powerful version of the deck. Kind of makes me tempted to play going second, not gonna lie. And now let's make it over to the last build. Alright, so this one is a little bit more true to past builds of Merlantians. It just kind of gets you a lot of the tools that we're used to. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to have too much of a change, you should be right at home with this build here. Got the triple Nepty. We have a Megalo, Big Pampa. We're also running 3 of the Minstrel. You know, be able to trigger off our Atlanteans, all out of the crap, normal shenanigans. We have the Gust Kraken in this build. So the one thing that's really, really cool here, Wheeling Glacier plus Gust Kraken, just, oh my god. The look of defeat in your opponent's face is just unforgettable. In the extra deck, since I'm running the Gust Kraken plus Diva makes Dragite, so that's really, really nice. Or Wheeling Glacier, Diva, that makes Baron. And the last card here is going to be the Abyss Lacia. And you saw it in that combo. The actual Merlantian Gishki shit, that's about as strong as a board as I've ever seen. Very, very cool if you want to stay more true to what you're, comfortable with. This is a fantastic build to start off with. And of course, like I said before, you can tweak them, do whatever you want with them. And that'll do it for the lists. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, well, god damn it, you're a trooper. Holy shit. So that was a mega guide on Gishki Atlanteans, probably the build I'm going to be playing from now on until, some other hot shit comes out. Yeah, you can see the power. It's just consistent as a motherfucker. So that's what I'm going to be playing post Photon Hypernova, and I think you guys should at least try it out. I got all my Gishki cards in the mail like early November-ish, just because I was so hyped. But yeah, look forward to all the new cards, the new stuff heading our way pretty soon here on the 9th of February. And I hope you guys like this guide. It's just been rough trying to get back into content creation just because of all my situations at the reef, IRL reef. But yeah, I'm trying to be back. I'm trying to be more consistent, and I should have some free time coming up here soon. So go ahead and visit Prime's channel. It'll be linked in the description below. And help your boy out. Hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 1,000. That's all I want. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers, 1,000 little guppies in my fish pool, and then I'll never say anything again because I don't give a fuck after that. I'll see you guys later. Until next time. Bye.